Khamzat Chimaev versus Alex Pereira. Take my money right now. Gosh, I want to see that fight. And what everybody wants to know is this rumors and speculation, or is this something that is going to happen? And I'll tell you what, we got big news on that topic, and you will be surprised by my answer. So we're going to get into that. We're going to preview UFC 225, including Duplessis versus Strickland, Marab versus Umar, Islam versus Arman Sarukian. So those are the three biggest fights that we know of right now. So buckle your seatbelts. We're about to get into all these topics next.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA Podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
What up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the TC MMA podcast. And you heard in the intro there, big news. Everybody's talking about it. And Robert Whittaker says, hey, Khamzat Chimaev will beat Alex Pereira. Okay, not in those exact words, but that's what he's alluding to, right? And people are beginning to talk of this fight as a real possibility. And here's why I believe that this fight could in fact happen. Anyone else can change divisions and move up to fight for a title. If you're the champion, you can move up, fight for the title, especially if you defended the belt a few times successfully. Everybody except Alex Pereira. And why? Because Dana White, as much as I love him, right? And first, let me just say, he's the best president, commissioner, CEO, whatever you want to call him, really, of any sport. So let me preface that first. But Dana White does not want to see John Jones fall. He believes he's the best fighter ever. And how could you make that argument if Alex Pereira goes up there and beats him? Not to say that would happen, but that possibility does not even want to be honored by Dana White. So that leads me to believe that, guess what? Khamzat could get a title opportunity against Alex Pereira at light heavyweight, because there's a good possibility that Khamzat Chimaev wins that fight. I mean, there's a very good possibility that Khamzat wins that fight. So if you're Dana White, hey, let's make that happen and get Alex Pereira out of the title, even though, he had a great 2024, but this is 2025, right? So let's get him out of the title mix and let's give Khamzat Chimaev an opportunity. That's what I think Dana White is going to do. That's what I think he's thinking. And guess what? If that fight happens,
And new!
yeah, and new light heavyweight champion Khamzat wins that fight all day, every day. I'm just trying to tell you now. Did you not see what he did to Robert Whittaker? Come on, man.
Give this guy a title fight.
It's about time. Khamzat needs a title fight, and he needs it right now. I mean, you all thought that he was going to go in there and lose to Robert Whittaker?
What'd I tell y'all, baby?
Not going to happen. Khamzat is ready for prime time, and if they can't give him the middleweight division, let's move him up to light heavyweight and let's make it happen. Now, when you stack these two up against each other, Alex Pereira is actually 2 inches taller at 6'4". He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. He lands about 5.5 significant strikes per minute. So does Khamzat. So they're pretty much equal there. In terms of the takedown game, Khamzat dominates with more than one takedown per round. Pereira none. So on the feet, it's basically even. On the ground, Khamzat dominates there. And, Pereira likes to keep it in the stand-up, right? He wants to keep guys in the stand-up with that awkward kickboxing style, really messes opponents up, slow them down big time, much like we see Izzy do. Sean Strickland does it as well, except he gets more into, all-out striking. He doesn't slow his opponent down quite as much, but he still does. All three of those guys with similar styles slow their opponents down. So Khamzat's going to go right in there and just drop a Pereira, take him to the ground and finish him. I mean, that's just the way it's going to happen. And it's probably going to be quick. And then what do you do, right? And then what do you do? I mean, Khamzat to me dominates Alex Pereira. And I didn't see this fight even as a possibility. But now that John Jones is fighting Tom Aspinall, let's give Alex Pereira something to chew on. Maybe Khamzat wins. This is in the company's thinking. And then there's no chance of him going up to face John Jones. But I'm here to tell you, if Khamzat wins the light heavyweight belt and starts beating dudes down, he's going to go up to heavyweight as well one day. I mean, this is all down the line. But you guys know how I feel about these three fighters. I mean, you guys already know how I feel. That's why the dude list was in fact created, right? You look at the top three, it's Khamzat number one over everybody in any weight class. I don't care. That's my favorite fighter. I think he beats everybody. John Jones, number two, right there. Alex Pereira, number three. And if they'd have let Khamzat fought Dracus, then all three of these guys would be champs, and there would be some big time fights coming, the likes of which the UFC has never seen. Any one of those matchups, Khamzat versus John Jones, Pereira versus John Jones, Pereira versus Khamzat. Any possibility of fights right there is huge. It's just absolutely huge. And that's why I want to see that fight happen. And I think it's a real possibility because of the John Jones situation and trying to keep Pereira away from him at all costs. At all costs. They want John Jones to retire with that one loss so they can say that he's basically undefeated. And that's very likely to happen. But I'm telling you now, Khamzat is coming. So those are your top three right on the dude list. Now, as we segue into UFC 2025, this is the dude list for the beginning of the year, right? You got Islam number 4. He's getting ready to take on Arman Sarukian. I think he wins that fight. We'll get into that full prediction in a minute. Of course, Shavkat number 5, Dracus du Plessis number 6. He's taking on Sean Strickland, who's like, 11 or 12? We'll look at that in a minute. Topuria, who's going to fight him? You got Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. That fight's already set up. Then you got Tom Aspinall at 9 and Sean O'Malley back in the top 10. I don't think he's done yet. But this is going to be a year where all these old heads are going to have to do something. And that's what always makes the 11 through 20 so difficult. So you got Umar there at number 11. He's ready to go into the top 10 if he can win. Sean Strickland will be back in the top 10 if he can beat du Plessis. I don't think so, but we'll see. Then Adesanya's back. You got Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka at 14 versus 15. So a lot of things shaping up. Aljamain Sterling is still up there. Bo Nickel, of course. He'll get better. Charles Oliveira, a.k.a. Du Bronx, is sliding. But if he can get a win here in the near future, that would help him a lot. Then you got Ian Machado Gary and Movsar Evloev, who might be the guy to fight for the featherweight title. Right? As we approach 2025, nothing confirmed there yet, but he might be the guy. Now, as we jump into UFC 2025, we're going to look at 3 fights today. The first one is at UFC 312, and then we'll skip back to UFC 311. But you got a big one between Dracus du Plessis and Sean Strickland, the rematch. That's what left Khamzat, waiting in the wings, which is why I think he might fight Pereira. We'll have to wait and see on that. But let's get into this right now. Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland in the middleweight division for the middleweight division title. Your main event at UFC 312. You got Dracus du Plessis coming in at 22-2. He's the champ, taking on Sean Strickland in a rematch. Strickland 29-6, battling his way, to get back to a title shot after beating Paulo Costa. Both guys 6'1", du Plessis 30, Strickland 33. Both guys 76-inch reach. Du Plessis is a switch stance fighter. Strickland stands right-handed. Both guys over 6 significant strikes per minute, but it's du Plessis who can land takedowns. He lands like 1 per round. Sean Strickland barely gets 1 every 3 rounds. So du Plessis has an advantage in that department. But let's skip right ahead to the rematch when looking at these two, right? Because the other fights don't really matter. Except du Plessis beat Adesanya to defend the belt. Took the belt from Sean Strickland, and in that fight, Strickland actually led in significant strikes, 173 to 137, right? So why didn't he win? Because he gave up 6 takedowns. But you know how the judges are, right? 6 takedowns, great. But if the other guy leads in significant strikes, it's going to be close. That's why it was a split decision. And it went the way of Dracus du Plessis. So not only is Duplessis going to have to get 6 takedowns again in this fight, he's going to have to try to equalize significant strikes, or he's leaving it in the judge's hands. And I think this fight's going to go much in the same way as the first one. I think Sean Strickland will lead in significant strikes. I think Dricus will lead in takedowns. And then you got to sit through a scary decision, right? You got to sit through a scary decision. And God forbid Sean Strickland wins a title. Are they going to try to set up a rematch? Because you got Khamzat Chimaev waiting in the wings with a dominant win over Robert Whittaker. And people are not happy that he's got to wait. So this fight has big implications on the future, but I still think Dricus Du Plessis wins a very close decision. Also, the odds are very close, right? Du Plessis not even a 2-1 favorite, so they're expecting this fight to be very close, but I still like Du Plessis to win barely, again, with the takedown game, to get the victory and retain the belt. He'll move to 23-2, likely decision win coming here for the middleweight title at UFC 312. Yeah, and listen, all 3 of these fights are going to be obvious because who do we got higher on the dude list, right? The dude list we take very seriously. I'm not going, if a guy is number 5 and the other guy is number 11 on the dude list, I'm going with number 5. That's why he's there. So I think Du Plessis wins this fight, but it's going to be very close. And I think Khamzat dominates both of them. So, but it's still a big fight. It's for the title. And if Sean Strickland falls, and he's out of the way. I mean, he's finished in the near future at least. So a couple other big fights we're going to get to is just coming up at UFC 311. Let's begin with what looks like to be the co-main event, if I can find it here, right? So, of course, we didn't organize this before the show because we don't need to just yet. And maybe I don't have it, but it's Umar and Merab. We got to find this thing. Umar and Merab, where are you? Yeah, we might not have that one. That's unfortunate. But there's another good fight we can get to replace that, so that's fine, leading up to the main event. So maybe I'm missing something here, but let's get into right now because they're on the dude list as well. Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill. Here we go, baby. In the light heavyweight division at UFC 311, this is your co-main event. Got a big one here. Yuri Prochazka takes on Jamal Hill, 2 guys that have reached the top, have held the title, and just can't seem to get past Alex Pereira. So who's the next guy, not necessarily in line, but the next guy closest to the top? Prochazka 30-5, Jamal Hill 12-2. And of course, Magomed Ankalaev is seemingly ahead of these 2, but they've never fought, right? So this fight is a big one, really, because you don't want to fall to third or fourth in the division. Jamal Hill stands 1 inch taller, is 6'4". He's 33. Prochazka 32. Both guys in the prime, right? Prochazka 1 inch reach advantage, 80-79. He fights right-handed. Jamal Hill fights southpaw. Both guys very active. Yuri 5.4 significant strikes per minute. Jamal Hill 7.2. Neither guy is really looking to go to the ground. I mean, Yuri can go to the ground if necessary. He's done it before, but that's not his MO. He wants to stand and strike. So, takedown defense probably isn't that important in this fight, especially for Yuri. Now he's coming off the loss to Alex Pereira, who dominated him 38-7. In significant strikes on the feet, ended up getting the KO. Prior to that, he did beat Alexander Rakic, who was coming off the injury. That was Yuri's second fight. Yuri ended up getting the TKO in round 2. Prior to that, he lost to Alex Pereira. He was coming off the injury. Both guys have not looked good coming off the injury. Ask Jamal Hill, Chris Weidman, and Yuri. They just have struggled. So he's lost 2 of the last 3, but to one of the best fighters in the world. Jamal Hill, 73% takedown defense. That should keep the fight standing. He also lost Alex Pereira by first round KO. It seems like that's the trend in this division. Before that, he beat Glover Teixeira to take the belt. Won by decision. He ended up getting hurt. So this is his second fight. This is Yuri's third fight. Both of them coming off major injuries. So he did beat Glover Teixeira for the belt. Beat Thiago Santos before that. Johnny Walker, Jimmy Crute. 3 of those 4, not Glover, but the other 3 were by KO. And this is a tough one because I know that I got Yuri on the do list. I'm not sure about Jamal Hill. If he isn't, I need to put him up in there because I just think that Jamal Hill is going to come in here and get the victory. It doesn't necessarily seem like it, right? Because we're all thinking, well, Yuri just lost to Alex Pereira, but he still beat Alexander Rakic. You know, Jamal Hill doesn't have quite the resume. He beat Glover Teixeira, an older guy, but that was an impressive win, man. Because if Glover gets a hold of you, even at this age, he's going to be a problem. But Jamal Hill won that fight. This is his second fight since the injury. Yuri's third, so they're both back, you know, as close to normal as one can be after a major injury. Jamal Hill is probably a little tougher because it has to deal with his ankle, his feet, the Achilles. But he's back, and he's had a year to train now. And despite the fact that Yuri Prochazka has more fights, and I probably should go with Yuri because I got him ranked on the do list somewhere higher than Jamal Hill, maybe not. But in my opinion, it's a very close fight, and I'm going to lean towards Jamal Hill. And I actually think Jamal Hill is going to get the KO in round 3. But this is going to be a back and forth fight, one that listen, they're not fighting for the title, but this is a fight where the guys are going to stand face to face and go at it. And anything can happen. I mean, if you want to say that you think Yuri's going to win, fine. I think Jamal Hill is going to win, fine. Bottom line is anything can happen. But I like Jamal Hill to win this one by 3rd round, KO or TKO. At worst, by decision, he'll win 2 rounds out of 3. But yeah, I like him to win. To me, the 13-2 here, light heavyweight division, UFC 311. Yeah, we're breaking stride on that one because I'm pretty sure we got Yuri ahead of Jamal Hill, but it's like 14 versus 15. So anything can happen here. And I just think Jamal Hill is going to shock everybody. So we're taking a chance on that one. Now, we did find Merab versus Umar. It was in there. We just couldn't find it. But during the break, we did. So let's get into this. This is a co-main event. This is for the bantamweight title. This is going to be a high-level fight. And Merab just got the belt, but Umar's coming. This should be a good one. In the bantamweight division for the bantamweight division title and your co-main event at UFC 311, you got Merab Dvalishvili, current champion, taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. And this is going to be a high-level fight and probably in Umar Nurmagomedov the best chance to take the belt, at least right now, from Dvalishvili. Dvalishvili's 18-4. Umar perfect 18-0. But this is a levels fight for him. All right, he's the favorite, but he's got something to prove here. Umar's 2 inches taller at 5'8". He's just 28 years old. Merab 33. Both guys still in that prime window. Umar 1 inch reach advantage, 69-68. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys just over 4 significant strikes per minute, so pretty active. Then things get interesting with the takedown game, right? Merab lands more than 2 takedowns per round, or right at 2, while Umar also lands like 4 takedowns over 3 rounds. So not quite 2 per round, but he's still getting a lot of takedowns. So the takedown game will be important here. Merab, 80% takedown defense. Umar, 100%. Can he keep that 100% up against Merab, though? That's going to be the big question. Now, Merab is coming off an impressive win over Sean O'Malley, a.k.a. the Sugar Show, by decision. 6 takedowns to none, 82-47 in significant strikes. Just dominant. He also beat Henry Cejudo by decision. Piotr Jan, decision. Jose Aldo, decision. Right? And in the last 3 fights, he's just dominated with takedowns, 22-2 in takedowns over the last 3. So Umar is really going to have to defend well here because Merab's going to continue with the same game plan. Now, Umar beat Corey Sandhagen by decision, 5 takedowns to none. That's impressive. Also against Bekzat Almakhan, 5 takedowns to nothing, 68-3 in significant strikes. So he's just dominating. Then he KO'd Raoni Barcelos. So he's shown that he's well-rounded. He has the ability to finish opponents as well. So this is going to be a high-level fight. And really, you would think when Merab beat Sean O'Malley that he's going to hold on to the belt for a while. But I don't think so. I think Umar is going to come in here and get the victory. Now, it's not going to be as easy as any other fight he's had in the past. He's going to have to prove that he can defend takedowns, obviously. He's going to have to prove that he can win on a high level. But wouldn't it be nice if he can just go in there and KO him in the first round? Of course it would be, but I don't think that's what happens. I think this fight goes to a decision, and Umar wins 3 rounds to 2. It's going to be very close. Umar's 100% takedown defense will be tested here. I don't think he'll come out of this fight with that same number, but he'll defend a lot of takedowns. But he's still going to give up 2 or 3. He's got to just escape 1, win those 3 rounds, and he gets the belt. But very close fight coming up here. But I got Umar Nurmagomedov winning the belt. And what a solid champion this will be at 19-0 if he gets to win. But that's what I believe is going to happen, in my opinion. Bantamweight division for the title. Co-main event at UFC 311. Yeah, so we're just absolutely destroying the dude list today because normally the higher ranked fighters I'm going with. But, I can't remember if I even got Merab on the dude list. So I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's double check real quick. So we got Umar at number 11. Yeah, and we got Merab at 8. So in back-to-back fights, we're going against the grain because we do got Jamal Hill above Yuri. Okay. So only we got Umar number 11 versus number 8, Merab, and we're going with number 11. So that doesn't normally happen, but it's happening here. So that's the way we think that one's going down. Now, in the main event, you obviously got a big-time fight. You got Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. So these are the top 4 fights, at least right now for 2012. These are the top 4. So let's jump into this one right now. In the lightweight division at UFC 311, this is your main event for the lightweight division title, the best division and the best title in the UFC, in my opinion. You got Islam Makhachev. The current champ comes in at 26-1 in the rematch against Arman Tsarukyan, who comes in at 22-3. And obviously, both of these guys have been impressive. Now, let's get into it. Islam Makhachev, 3 inches taller at 5'10". He's 33. Tsarukyan now 28 years old. He was much younger at the time, which would make you believe this is going to be a closer fight, potentially. Tsarukyan, 3-inch reach advantage. Islam fights left-handed. Tsarukyan fights right-handed. Tsarukyan, 3.8 significant strikes per minute, 2.7 for Islam. But we know Islam slows down his opponents with the takedown game, right? Both guys have a takedown game landing more than 1 takedown on average, right around 1, but slightly more than 1 per round. Now, Islam, 90% takedown defense. Tsarukyan, 79% takedown defense. And these numbers kind of line up. In the first fight, it was a decision win for Islam Makhachev. It was 14-13 in significant strikes. Not very action-packed. And this is back in 2019, of course, so Tsarukyan's like 22, 23 at the time, right? He's evolved, so is Islam. In that fight, 4 takedowns for Islam, 1 for Arman Tsarukyan. And we know the story with both these guys since then. They've been highly impressive. Tsarukyan has won 4 in a row. He did lose to Mateusz Gamrot by decision, giving up 6 takedowns to 1 in that fight. And see, to me, that's the problem. Now, Tsarukyan did beat Charles Oliveira by split decision. Didn't give up any takedowns against Charles Oliveira. That was impressive. So it's shown he has gotten better. He hasn't given up a takedown in the 4-fight win streak, and he's had 13 takedowns to 0, basically. But against Mateusz in 2022, he gave up those 6 takedowns. And that leads me to believe that still, even though he's gotten better, he's in the prime window, might even be a champion one day as Islam hits 36, 37, 38, right? Or maybe moves up to the welterweight division. But I don't see him winning this fight right now. Islam is too good. Islam is making sure that he's 100% going into this fight. He's made Tsarukyan wait for several months. So we'll see what happens. But listen, I can't go against Islam Makhachev. This guy is the real deal. We got him at like number 3 or 4 on the due list. I think it's number 4, right behind Khamzat Chimaev, John Jones, and Alex Pereira. You got Islam Makhachev. So he's one of my favorite fighters. Make no mistake about it. And he should win this fight in dominant fashion. Hopefully, for his sake, he can get the finish because that would really close the door on all the Arman Tsarukyan talk. That's what I hope happens. That's what I believe happens. But either way, I got Islam Makhachev dominating the ground and winning this fight by decision or submission. We'll see. But he retains a lightweight belt in this one and moves to 27-1, in my opinion, here in the lightweight division for the lightweight division title, your main event at UFC 311. Yeah, so we can't go against Islam in this one, right? I mean, Arman Sarukian is good, but Islam's beat him before. And to me, this is just a fight that Islam has to win. He's taking this very seriously because if he wins this one, he's basically, there's no one else. I mean, it's the lightweight division. There's always someone else, but realistically, Islam has separated himself from the best division in the UFC, which is why he's so highly ranked on our dude list at number 4, and pound for pound, he's ranked high as well. People weighing in the chat. You got King Terzi, baby. Is this live? Yes, sir. Says we need Chimaev versus Alex. Then if he wins, crazy, Jones would actually fight him. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. Terzi goes on to say Chimaev beats Usman, Whitaker, Pereira, Jones, and becomes 4-time champ without having to win all the belts. Yeah. 17-0, greatest to ever do it. I know, I agree, man. Yeah, I mean, this is what I think is going to happen. Will they give Khamzat the opportunity? That's the big question. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I feel like they should. And I feel like Dana White will, because if Khamzat takes out Pereira, then that removes the possibility of Pereira versus John Jones. And then I don't think he's going to let Khamzat fight John Jones, because then he knows what could happen there. Right? So, we're going to have to wait and see. But highly interesting fight. That's for sure. Highly interesting fight. All around. If they can give us that fight, the fans will be ecstatic going into 2025. All right, so let's jump into the Q&A. At Destroyer of Moron says, no, it is not Brazil on Brazil. Talking about Mackenzie Dern, really. Mackenzie Dern is not Brazilian. She's American. Well, she's American-Brazilian or Brazilian-American. So she does have that in her, okay? So, yeah, she's not Brazilian, but she's Brazilian-American. So she obviously has Brazilian in her, so I feel comfortable making that statement, Brazil on Brazil. Meaning both of them can go to the ground. It's going to be a highly interesting first main event of the year, for sure. Now, NTN MMA says DDP will finish Pillow Hands in the 3rd or 4th by TKO. Yeah, it's very possible. I think it's going to a decision, but you never know. Anton 2194. Go read the rules for scoring. Strikes worth with more impact scores. Strickland only jabs and never goes for a finish. Yeah, and I know the rules. I get it, and I agree. I'm not in disagreement with you whatsoever. I know impact does score, and that's why you look at the numbers and you're like, how'd the other person win? Well, they had more impact punches, significant strikes. Good point. The Master says, I'm still hoping Strickland pulls out and we get Khamzat versus DDP on short notice. Winning the belt on short notice would be awesome. Yep. But that's not going to happen, right? I don't think anyone's pulling out of that. Blue 3 enjoys his crazy performance. Khamzat is so legit. And, in the last podcast, we looked at 2024 in review, and that's what people are weighing in on. Great year, 6 new UFC champions. Alex Pereira is the fighter of the year. And that's the way 2024 turned out. And now 2025 is on the horizon. And it's going to be absolutely ridiculous with 4 great fights already scheduled. And the UFC is working to deliver even more. If they can deliver Khamzat versus Pereira, the UFC community would go bananas, right? To keep it clean, go bananas. But listen, that's Khamzat versus Pereira. We broke that down. Not a full normal prediction, just kind of looking at it. Got into 4 of the best fights of 2025 right now. And that's the way it looks. So for now, this is your boy Chris Cross. As always, I hope you have a great day and God bless. Peace.